All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Today marks day 6 of the conflict between Israel and Iran. President Trump now growing increasingly warm to using U.S. military assets to strike nuclear facilities in Iran and straying away from perhaps the idea of a diplomatic solution. All this as the supreme leader has vowed not to surrender and warned that any U.S. military intervention would result in severe damage. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Harley Lippman, foreign policy expert back here on the Live Zone. Harley, always good to see you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I must say, the last time we spoke, I believe it was maybe a week or two ago, you were here in Washington, D.C., called up to the big leagues, if you will, to the White House to have a discussion with President Trump, if you will, surrounding your take on what should unfold or what could be done within the Middle East in order to bring about peace. Since then, we now have another conflict. In this case, I'm referring to Israel and Iran. A lot going on here, Harley.
There really is. That's the understatement of the times. A lot going on, certainly. But I would say that I've never been more encouraged about the future for peace in the Middle East as I am right now. Not in a long time. The Abraham Accords come close, of course, because you had four Arab nations making peace with Israel. Making peace is always the desirable outcome for all relationships of countries in the world. But today I'm more hopeful because all the trouble and all the violence and the wars have come from Iran. And interestingly, they have not suffered the consequences of all their activities as the center of world terrorism. Number one, not number six, not number 20, not number two. They are the number one world center of terrorism in the world. And when you look at all the conflicts in the Middle East and you look at where Iran controls nations, you see the country is geared for war and violence, and the people live in poverty. They don't care about the people. You look at Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Gaza. These are basically failed nations. The people suffer because the mullahs are only interested in killing people, killing the infidels, starting with Israel and the Jews, and then ending up with America. And these are their words. I'm not making this up or creating this. This is their words. And as I often say, our adversaries often tell us what they're going to do. And Iran has said repeatedly that they want to destroy Israel and America. And it's arrogance for us to think that we know better what our adversary means than their own words. So I'm just hopeful that there will be a regime change. I'm hopeful that the United States will complete the destruction of the nuclear infrastructure in Iran. And I think this will bring about peace. So I'm very, very hopeful.
Harley, we know that yesterday President Trump called the Supreme Leader an easy target, in essence, taunted the Supreme Leader. We also know that the president said his patience is wearing thin, to which the Supreme Leader stated that he does not plan to surrender and he will likely not comply. It appears we're headed down let's just say a dark alley here where it doesn't look good that with regard to the result for Iran.
Guy, you're spot on. In fact, I'll share something interesting with you. Yesterday, I was on Arab television, and they had a guest along with me who I didn't know, a senior official from Iran, of all things. So we're on this program for a long time, and he kept saying that for Iran to concede on enriching uranium will extend to everything. It will extend to every part of the country, and that Iran will end up capitulating every single thing, that America won't stop and will have complete and control over Iran. And it's a ridiculous notion because, if they really want peace, the Iranians, they just have to say we won't have a nuclear bomb. obviously it's more important for them to have a nuclear bomb than to have peace. It's quite amazing because already Israel has bombed so many military sites in Iran. Iran is extremely weak. They see the United States as poised to get engaged, and which would cause more destruction, but positive destruction. And yet they're still defiant, which again tells me, and I know I'm repeating myself, but it's so essential to understanding why attacking Iran was so necessary. We all know that wars and violence are always bad, but sometimes necessary. And this is one of those times. The analogy I make is that if we could go back in time to 1938 and we saw Hitler in a bunker with his generals, even though there's not a war yet, of course, with what we knew would be coming in World War II, where 60 million people died, 60 million, I think we would have done something to take out Hitler and his generals because that would bring about peace. And I think that's the best analogy I would say that we have now, that President Trump could go down in history as truly one of the best, if not the best presidents we've had in a very long time, if he were to take out what is the most dangerous country on the planet. And they're the most dangerous because, unlike England and France that have nuclear bombs, we don't lose any sleep over it. Even Pakistan and India have signed protocols that neither of them will use nuclear weapons first. Only Iran says that they want to destroy another nation. So that's what makes it so different. And they're doing everything to prove that.
Yeah.
They're enriching uranium far more than they need for civilian purposes. So the only reason they're doing that is to build a nuclear bomb. And Israel, after October 7th, which was a defining moment for them, realizes that deterrence is not enough, that they can't take the risk of being complacent as they were with Hamas. Israel was completely caught off guard because they didn't think Hamas meant it when Hamas said they were going to murder every man, woman, and child in Israel. And when Hamas began to do that, slaughtering every man, woman, and child, that they realized that they had to address their enemies proactively and not wait for Israel to be attacked because with a nuclear bomb, it would be too late.
Well, one thing's for sure, Harley. The world awaits to see what President Trump plans to do surrounding the conflict between Israel and Iran. Mr. Harley Lippman, foreign policy expert. Thank you so much for your time, Harley. Always good to see you, my friend.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys.